The second one, this fascinates me, Bart, because Liverpool have got a history of looking at a player, not making a move, and then watching, as we know, their price tag soar through when they didn't make the move at a lower level. And funnily enough, you think of players like Baleba when he was at Lille. Liverpool had a good look but didn't, and then look what it would take to fetch him now when Brighton pulled the trigger. You look, there's a numerous examples where you can say Liverpool didn't make the move when they looked at the player, and look where they are now. So this one probably falls into this mix. I mean, Bouaddi at Lille. This is a name known to obviously all world scouts, all clubs have looked at him. But again, from our info at Anfield Index, Liverpool have scouted this kid. And it's important to say that despite, you know, how many appearances, 18 years old a number of times. As we've watched the footage and getting the bits of info from other people, there's an element of fab around him in certain terms, but he doesn't maybe have the ping or the progression necessarily that others. But as I wanted to set it up for context that way, a lot of what we were being told was this is the time to get him because of his contract situation, which we'll come to, his profile now. A bit like almost the way we talked around Hato. Was he ready right now? Probably not. But if you maybe don't get this kid now and you want him in a few years, you're probably being asked for a king's ransom at the same time as well. So we'll run the numbers on Bouaddi because he is a fascinating player, especially when you've seen him in Europa, Champions League briefly as well. Some talent.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, I was probably a bit like you. I watched his games, I watched a bit of footage, and then because he hasn't played that much, you end up watching a lot of the league, the youth. Do you know what I mean? The reserve league of some of these earlier, which is takes you back to watching park football because you know low attendance that people are playing in. But no, look at his profile. You're probably going, what's this about? What are you looking at this kid for? But he's a DM, so he receives good number of progressive passes. He takes players on, carries is improving, pass completion 86%. I know that's 72%, but actually 86% on average. That's kind of Grav does that on most games, so it's not low. That's just low compared to the sample he's in. The volume is low. Yes, I'll give you that. That's 22 per game. After 22nd percentile, sorry, so that's 40 passes a game. So that's probably a little bit low. But these are all things that you've got to look at opportunity. If you're in a middle to poor side, you're not going to have ball lots. You can't actually pass it that much, right? You know, and particularly if you're the DM, where you're the water carrier to get it and give it to somebody else, right? So in the box, this is going to sound a bit mad, but I'm actually quite pleased he's low down there because it gives me an indication that he doesn't go in the box. Right?
We've got enough who want to attack. I want people to want to defend and kick people. Yeah.
I want people to be back here in front of the back. That's one of my criticisms of Grav this season is that he has done some great stuff, but he's a bit too loose in terms of just be the sixth for me. Just sitting there. Defensively, tackles good, 75th percentile. Blocks, which is, if you watch the footage on him, that is a really it's a smart. He does block the ball well, block passing lanes. And the thing is, when you watch him, it's why his receiving success is quite high. He receives it in tight areas, and he's happy to then carry it quickly and play it. Right, he's not looking to go and do 40, 50-yard bursts. He's just trying to get out and play the ball. And there's lots to be said about that. That's kind of keeping it simple in that area. I would suggest is something we are missing this year. I think the one thing that I love about this kid, he's very strong on the ball. Right? Yeah. He's really proactive and able to read the danger areas. He's operating in zone 14, right? So those who don't know, watch the pod, whatever, that's one of the danger areas in the pitch. You don't want the opposition to get in there to dominate that area because there's a huge percentage chance that they will get a goal scoring opportunity from a pass in that box, right? So if you watch the footage, he's happy to operate in that area, have to be proactive and snuff danger out when it's going to come into the area, and then quickly get it to a teammate. And that's something Fab used to do a lot. And that, you were right, he's got Fab-like tendencies. His tackles are quite high because he does this telescopic leg thing. He just hooks it around, nicks it, and then says to his mate, "There you go, I've got the ball. You go and do your thing now." So yeah, there's a lot. There is really quite a lot to like about him. Obviously, he's in the blue here. He's not going to have as much data as Grav, but there are some things. He's better at blocks than Grav. He's better at dribble as tackle. He's better at receiving progressive passes. So Grav's going to be better at a lot of things. It's opportunity based with a lot of these metrics, right? Grav plays for Liverpool. He receives the ball a lot during the game. He's going to have to pass the ball a lot. It's different to if you're playing for Lille. It's not the same sort of level. But there are concerns you've got to think about. He hasn't played a lot of football. He's coming up to 898, so that's a little bit low. We'd have to be wary of him. He's a young kid, so you've got to build that up. Aerially, he's only around the 60 mark, right? So that's kind of Kwanzaa level. That's not a bad thing because he's a line in front. And the thing that I think you said right at the beginning, which is really important, is people get obsessed with this long ball game of we need to get someone to head the ball away. That's not our problem, right? That seriously isn't our problem. We can win the ball area. It's what we don't pick the ball up afterward. It's the second ball. We've conceded something like 7 goals from second ball recycles, right? So that's horrendous. We weren't doing that last season. So when we say from watching him, he's in the right areas to pick up, spot danger. That's exactly what this kid does. He's in there, spots the ball coming down, nicks it, proactive, plays it. So, aerially, would you like him to do better? Of course you would. We want a team of giants again. That's how you don't get done aerially. But equally,
it's important to say though, especially aerial, because he's only 18, so he said he's not got much football.
He's improving.
You can see the uptrack, and in a weird way, when you watch his footage through the years, he's improved. You can see him getting bigger, isn't he? Like he's a growing lad type of thing in the most basic way. So to actually be standing at just shy of 60 or not far off it for the season, and it's going on an upward trajectory, it's important to note that because he's got a big frame. It's important to say.
Yeah, he's tall. He has got all the attributes. Generally, he's got all the attributes to be a really, really smart player. If you look at him in the passing, he's right in the middle here in the passing metrics. Good level of passing, considering that's not really a massive strength of his. PPDA, he's in good areas here. That's just about 11% of the team's P. That's defensive actions. In terms of threat, what did he face? He lost a lot in this game. Fair enough. But it only accounts for about 5% of the attacking teams. But he's done, in terms of creation and threat, from his little zone, he's got about 16%. So, about 5 to 6% of the overall team, and his own is from his area. So, he's quite good in that little box of just ticking over, giving it to somebody else, and then the player will come out from that, which you'll see here. The line's coming out from that central area there. So, yeah, shots. He's again happy he's not involved in that. Happy he's not involved in that. All right. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of players we've looked at over the years. I mean, geez, I was looking the other day, we must have had close to 50, 60 players. And there's a few youngsters we've watched out and gone, and that could be a really smart investment. Could be good at the right price. And I have to be honest, I think this kid falls into that category. I think you're right. If he does well and keeps doing well in Europe, keeps playing well, next summer someone's going to snap him up and he's going to be out of our price range. Where you get him now, you look after him better than we did with Badge, for example, and you could have another player to come in and play underneath for us, and it's not going to cost you £100 million. So yeah, I think he has a lot of attributes. He's on an upward trajectory. He does do a lot of really good stuff in that danger area that we need to protect at the moment. So, yeah, if he's not a lot of money, I think this is a smart signing.
This is where I think it'll get interesting. But again, is it enough for now? This is the big talking point. So, with his contract and doing a bit of digging around this, that it expires in 2027. So he's going to have a year left to go in the summer, which is important to say. importantly as well, because you mentioned Lille there, I mean, they're about fifth in Ligue 1, but they, you know, it sounds terrible, but they've been slipping for years. They're one of those clubs that since they won the league, they've been gutted, haven't they? Like Kone went, Jonathan David went as well. So, you know, it's one of those nature of clubs. So all the suggestions are Bouaddi is not looking to sign a deal. He's looking to move on. Important to say as well that I think Moroccan born but committed for France was the info that we had. So PSG are also having a good look at this kid, obviously, you know, for their homegrown numbers and that type of element as well. But, I mean, he'll have a year left. So 18 months in January, because let's talk about January a little bit. Suggestions we've got, again, from trying to dig around and get info, that Lille would sanction it around 40 to 45 million mark as well, because again, they probably hope for a little bit of a bidding auction, wouldn't they? And there's a lot of clubs around Europe really like this kid, nominate for Golden Ball. They know his talent. They know the potential. I don't want to bag on this kid at all because of the potential he's got, but I've got to ask it in these terms. The potential's there. A lot of the boxes are being ticked, upturn what he could be. As was put to us by an analyst, this screams like a more traditional, old school Edwards FSG signing, where if you were smart, you do it and, you know, bring him through. But I don't want to say this, but you've got to face into it. Where we are right now, what we need from a 6, probably what we're lacking more than anything. I think most people would do a 6 in a heartbeat. And, you know, we're not going to get names, but a Belaber or something like that, if we could. Is this kid in the short term, and you can even go to the summer, going to be the 6 Liverpool need, or are our needs just more immediate, that even though this could be a good deal, it's just going to put it down the rankings, if that makes sense?
For me, I think I've already said it, I don't see a lot of justification unless November goes horrendously for spending a lot of money in January, because I genuinely think the season is pretty much dead, right? And you can all shoot me for that, right? That's fine.
Yeah.
But for me, I start the season wanting to win the league title. That's gone for me. So half the season's dead. Champions League, I think it depends on the draw. Sure. But we've already shown we can get ourselves up for back-to-back fixtures. So I think we can do that with this team, right? So my head isn't quite where a lot of people are, is because I don't see the massive impetus of overspending in January to fix something that isn't actually going to it's not going to win you anything, right? So that's where this might be a smart move now. And you go again in the summer, I don't know. But it also depends on, having said that, someone like Belaber might only be available in January. Therefore, that becomes a more pressing need you get in, because you are going to need someone in that area, right? Whether I think it's now or summer, we are going to need a 6.
Need a 6, yeah.
We need a 6, right? Whether I think that will turn the dial on the season or not is kind of irrelevant. It's just whether you think you can get the right quality 6 now. If you can't, then it might be good to go and get a kid for the future, because you're going to miss out in the summer, and you go and get a proper 6 in the summer. That's where I'm at. I'm not quite in the we need something to fix a problem now, because that time has gone. That, you know, 5, 6, 7 defeats in the last 9 games is put to bed a very promising start to the season. So yeah, for me, if a player was available with a decent price, of course you go and do that in January. Of course you do. He's a good player, right? And then you put this kid in the summer. But if you're going to miss out on this kid for PSG, I wouldn't want to miss out on this kid, is what I'm saying. I think it's got a real potential to be a real star for us in the future.
Yeah, honestly, with this, it's going to sound like a politician. I think you can make an argument either way, because the ceiling's massive with this kid, and he could be, you know, a superstar. And it's one of those where if you do get him for around the 40 million mark in January, say, I do think it'll be a good investment in the future, where you look and go, that was a good move, that was smart money spent, good scouting, good analysis. I just think at the moment, and people will have their own names, like they'll be saying Belaber, as we mentioned, Elliot Anderson, who I also like. Would they be better for right now ahead of him? I don't think there's any doubt of that at all. It's just how, You don't know how Liverpool behind the scenes see it in terms of the immediate demands, the future, and how they're looking at it right now. But for our analysis people, Bouaddi, some talent. If Liverpool got him, a lot to like for that one. Whether he's your 6 right now, completely different conversation, but we'll steer away from that one.